Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of No More Kids in Scientology. And as you might be able to see from our thumbnail, might look a little confusing. I mean, in what world would we ever think of putting Jojo Siwa, Debbie Cook, Jody Hildebrand, all in a thumbnail, you guys? Literally, I feel like we're hitting this thumbnail bingo, just putting all these things that should make no shred of sense ending up on a thumbnail, but that they are strangely relating to a thumbnail. you know um Debbie Cook, the one that was into trafficking minors from across state lines and other countries, and was all about auditioning them and having them do roles for her, making her a lot of money. Jody Hildebrand, the one that was a so-called therapist that really wanted to do a lot of therapy on kids as she chained them to weight, including but not limited to. And then Jojo Siwa, who we had no idea was, allegedly, per the Rolling Stones, we do have a video reaction here that is going to really get into the nitty gritty of what we keep finding in these business models, you guys. The Nickelodeon business model, the now Jojo Siwa alleged business model, with all of these parents, truly commoditizing their kids' childhoods, right? Acting like, you know, it's giving a lot of kind of child trafficking vibes, you know, child trafficking vibes, kind of exploitation, kind of like fraud and coercion. Just keep getting checked off in the little list. Coercion, check. Fraud, check. NDAs. Oh yeah, guys, fun fact. Another little business model of JoJo was to have minors that her and her mom were recruiting to abuse, as alleged here. So again, it's start really pulling down the curtain on all of these business models and really start understanding what in the literal actual hell is going on. So yeah, let's react to this, you guys.
Jojo Siwa has been accused of overworking, underpaying, and mistreating the children that she worked with. Jojo is somebody.
Whoa, that's 2x. That's a little too fast. All right, you guys. Sorry about that. Let's just listen to normal for now. We might have to speed up later.
That I have personally given a lot of slack to, even though I have criticized her in particular for how she handled the Colleen Ballinger allegations. But I did still give her a lot of leeway, mainly because she's still quite young, and also because I understand that her upbringing is just bizarre. She's had a strange upbringing, she's not had a normal childhood, and I feel like that would affect anybody. But there comes a point when you're no longer that young, and when your upbringing can't really be used as an excuse anymore.
See, you guys, there comes a point where you're not that young anymore and you cannot be using your upbringing as an excuse. So again, for all the Scientology parents that go, oh yeah, but you know what? It happened back in the day. There does come a point where you cannot use that as an excuse. So as much as JoJo is being thrown into the spotlight here, and yes, some benefit of the doubt was being given to her, but again, the type of allegations and what is actually occurring and taking place inside of these rooms where children are being exploited is the business model that needs to be called out, whatever in the hell they're calling it.
And I feel like this, at least for me, is one of those situations. Like, I've kind of reached the cutoff point of giving Jojo Siwa the benefit of the doubt. And that mostly has to do with the ways that she's alleged to have treated the young child members of the girl group she formed with her mother, XOMG Pop, as well as the ways.
And let's not forget, you guys, that before everybody goes, oh, Serge, you really are going down the deep rabbit hole here with this one. Celebrity Center. literal celebrity center had their own version of this BS. With underage kids being brought in to act in the exact same way that these women just put together this band pop of like stardom and exploitation, you guys. So that's why is literally a parallel to even Scientology. So don't think that Scientology is something that is not exactly what we're seeing here on the screen, because it's the same literal shit with a different set of air freshener is what we always get.
That she has talked about some of the former stars from Dance Moms.
Them not being here is kind of like, let me erase my past, pretend it never happened, shove it down the drain, when it's like, that's why you are who you are.
XOMG Pop was a girl group that was created in 2021 by Jojo Siwa and her mother Jesslyn. They were a group of 7 young girls, and they were essentially like mini Jojo Siwas. It was all the sparkles and the bows that Jojo had been known for, but now Jojo was an adult and was not sparkly and wearing bows anymore. They went on to record music, make music videos, they were on American Idol, and in true Jojo Siwa fashion, they had a ton of branded merchandise. Some theories about why this was even created was just that Jojo wanted to use her own branding in a way that didn't involve herself, while other people think that this was Jojo's way of giving her mother Jesslyn something to do so that Jojo could go on and be an adult and do more adult things and not go around with big bows in her hair. They did quite well for themselves. It was all going really well until 4 of the members just left with no explanation. But now in an article in the Rolling Stone, as well as in an Instagram live, we have heard a lot of the allegations that have been made against Jojo and her mother and the reasons why these members may have left. And there's a lot here. There's a lot of different reasons. There are things like overworking them, the kids missing school because they had to do these rehearsals, having their medical issues be ignored, and having the girls just be completely demoralized and insulted by Jojo Siwa. The main focus of this Rolling Stone article is Leah Sanderson, who is the person who went on Instagram Live with her mother to also talk about these allegations. Leah joined the group when she was 14 years old in 2021. And what's a very important piece of information here is that Leah has spina bifida. Spina bifida is a congenital birth defect in which the spinal cord fails to form properly. And I'm not just mentioning this for no reason, by the way. This is actually important information, as you'll see going forward, because there were times where her health was not good and that was just completely ignored, overlooked, or even made worse.
So right there, you guys, we're talking about the lack of medical resources and mandated reporters that would have access to kids like this. For this type of trafficking to be enabled, for this type of trafficking to succeed, for a child that has this severe of a medical issue to not be literally contextualized in what was being expected of her, to be part of what? Another cult? Another cult that has children signing contracts that apparently are very binding. Another cult that has children working outside of the law, because you know what? The law does not give any of these minors a shred of protection if they're being filmed for social media purposes. So they can keep those kids there for 14 hours straight, very a la Sea Org, very a la Celebrity Center, very a la where other kids are already being exploited, with the law not giving a single literal shred of an F, with the law just playing dumb and thinking, oh yeah, whatever, you know, child exploitation is just better luck next lifetime. Next lifetime, maybe we will fix something. But you know what? This lifetime, just get away with child exploitation as much as you want. Come to Hollywood. It's in every corner, apparently. Allegedly, in every corner of this literal corrupt city, where these business models just, you know, prop up and thrive. Imagine that. Imagine Nickelodeon thriving. Imagine JoJo thriving. Imagine Scientology thriving. So I guess all it takes is for you to have, you know, unlimited access to children, and then your business model can thrive. If you come to California, you will find that level of, you know, wanting for children's business models to be very thriving with a shred of oversight. You know?
Sanderson's, as well as multiple sources close to the production, allege that the Siwas subjected the children to grueling rehearsals, sometimes foregoing school breaks with meager compensation. They also allege Sanderson was forced to work under intense physical duress.
Meager compensation, check mark. Isn't that great, you guys, that you can just start a checklist? Meager compensation, check mark. NDA, check mark.
With Jesselyn encouraging her to attend a video shoot just a few weeks after she underwent spinal cord surgery. In one instance, just days before the surgery, they allege Leah started bleeding through her belly button during a rehearsal for a performance at the Children's and Family Emmys, which was hosted by Jojo. Rather than encourage her to take a break, the Sandersons say Jesselyn told her to put a maxi pad on it so it wouldn't leak onto her costume. And this is
I mean, again, you guys, the lack of medical care, the lack of medical supervision, the lack of mandated reporters that do a job that should carry the liability if they're not doing it. If all those signs of abuse are being underreported, why is that happening? Why are the mandated reporters so compromised and dumb? Why does all of this have to come out without a shred of help from a mandated reporter stepping up and catching it? When are we going to find a story where they actually caught it? It's always the same literal story. No one caught anything. The medical malpractice just was like, whatever, just put a maxi pad over your bleeding belly button after you just had surgery. And this girl already has a complicated medical history. So in what world is this not exploitation to the nth literal degree?
is what I meant. Her health issues, very serious health issues, were ignored. She was forced to work just a few short weeks after she had spinal cord surgery. That is not something that you can just get over quickly. The strain that
So again, you guys, this is giving Scientology vibes, because guess where else it didn't even matter? When I was in Scientology, I had my 4 wisdom teeth pulled by a dentist that I don't even know if he had a license to be practicing. I was sent home with nothing, no painkillers. They told me, oh, someone will give you a cyst the next morning. I was expected to go back to work immediately. Even if my cheeks were swollen, it didn't matter. Get back on your post already. Stop wasting time. So in what world do we even gonna suspect that the same little business model is being run over here by another minor being thrown in the throes of this dysfunction, of this utter disgusting exploitation that apparently, you know, again, doesn't matter if you break the law. As long as you call it TikToking, then it's great. As long as you call it Scientology, then it's great. As long as you call it Nickelodeon, then it's great. It's always great as long as you call it what it's not. Always great to call it what in the hell it's not, isn't it?
that must have had on her was probably immense, and especially considering the fact that in both this article and in her Instagram live with her mother, she talks about how grueling those rehearsal sessions actually were, and the fact that she was told just to put a pad on her bleeding belly button instead of, that's not good, you should probably go to the hospital. Actually, no, just don't ruin your costume. It's disgusting. Before I move on though,
I mean, again, guys, it's like, don't ruin the custom, because like the costume is really what we care about. the costume. Like, don't ruin your uniform. Don't let the public see you like that, is what they would tell us. After they would yell and scream at us, after we would be crying from being yelled at and screamed at by Debbie Cook having an unhinged power trip, her latest power trip of the week. That woman had power trips every other second. She'd be power tripping about this or she'd be power tripping about that. It didn't even matter. She would be going through her little book of Scientology. Oh my God, look what I found here, an outness of the technology. Then just going on a screaming rampage to whatever minor she wanted to scream at. And then, yes, just wipe your tears. Don't let anyone see you like that. Don't create out PR for us. Is how these people run those establishments. Don't create anything that's going to reflect back on us. Don't let anyone see you outside that you were just been crying. So make sure you really hide it, because that really is, all you really need inside of those hotels. That's the level of care that minors receive inside of the hotels after they get screamed at, after they get put to do, 12, 14-hour shifts. Then they get told, don't cry, or, you're going to create a PR flap, and then you're going to be in more trouble.
Exclusively to Rolling Stone about their almost 2-year stint in XOMG Pop. They alleged that Jessamine was overtly cruel to their young charges, calling them names, and in one instance, shaming them for having a disability. The contestant who was the target of alleged verbal abuse did not return Rolling Stone's request for comment.
Well, and in the case of Debbie Cook, just to bring it back to Scientology kids, she would be, calling us names. You're a disgusting, degraded being. You're a stat crasher. You are a 1.1. And she wouldn't be making fun of your disability, but she would be making fun of being LGBTQ. She would be humiliating you in front of everyone. Oh, guess what? Guess what kind of withholds are coming up in Surge's OW write-ups, you guys? Guess what I just read last week? Humiliation tactics. That's all these sadistic, disgusting, depraved degenerates got off on. Having their little meetings where they would be, yelling and screaming their disgusting names and humiliation to, again, have a power trip. That's what all of this is rooted. Jojo Siwa is having a power trip together with her mother. Apparently, it is passed down from generation to generation.
Jojo, meanwhile, could also be nasty and domineering, according to sources. A sharp contrast from her upbeat on-screen persona.
So, upbeat on-screen persona. Yay, everything is so wonderful. Everything's so amazing. Well, guess where else that culture is prevalent? For the 10th billionth time inside of the hotels. Everything is very upbeat, very Jojo Siwa. Like everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the greatest. But that's only the front. The back end is exactly the same BS that we see here. Domineering, sharp contrast, nasty. So Scientology, when they want to be PR, we're so nice. Look at us, J-Lo. Aren't we the nicest people you've ever had anything to do with? We went over that on J-Lo yesterday. You guys, yes, these people will Jojo Siwa themselves in a second, in a split second. They'll be coming across just like that. I'm so amazing. I'm so wonderful. I'm so happy-go-lucky. But it's all a facade. It's all a disguise. It's all just literal BS to hide what they really are doing, which is exploiting children behind closed doors. It's what it's called. It's what it's literally called. But yet we have every last other name for this activity that doesn't include calling it what it is. So y'all really start asking yourselves why that is. Why is every other name in the book available to, hide behind curtains? What in the hell is actually gets done in broad daylight? I mean, imagine YouTube being a huge platform pushing this. TikTok being a huge platform pushing this. The algorithm loves to push this type of BS. Child exploitation, viral moments. Just look at Jojo Siwa. Just literally look at her numbers. Look at her algorithm. Look at Ruby Frankie too. Just while we're at it. The $2.5 million, whatever million followers on YouTube. Mom that was what? Not abusing kids on camera while she was doing those videos. Imagine it's all been scrubbed. Imagine there is nothing anymore left of that disgusting channel.
At one point, they allege she screamed insults at the girls during the performance. They also allege that she played a role in helping to build a cutthroat environment long after the cameras were gone, playing favorites and pitting members against each other. In addition to the Sandersons, Rolling Stone spoke with multiple sources close to the production of Dance Pop.
Cutthroat environment. I mean, you guys, please. Cutthroat environment. Like in Scientology, they didn't call it a cutthroat environment, but they did call it put a head on a pike environment. No, I didn't make it up. Put a head on a pike. If you want to get ethics in, put a head on a pike. If you want to make an example out of, people so they don't go out to D anymore, so they don't go and RAPE somebody out there, just put a head on a pike. And then, what? 2 weeks later, someone else went out to D. 1 day later, someone else went out to D. These people were going to out to D inside of the hotel day in and day out, 24/7, 365. And they were what? Crisis management, every single last shred of out to D. But Mike Rinder has no idea. He's never heard of out to Ds being laundered inside of the hotels. He's never heard of anyone having had an out to D inside of the hotel because he thinks that he was saving a world by, just slopping all the minors and all the adults together. That was gonna result in no type of out to D whatsoever. Imagine being that stupid.
Revolution and the Siwas. We also reviewed more than 24 documents relating to XOMG Pop and Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution, including contractual agreements, text messages, and emails. The sources allege that the Siwas and their producers dangled the carrot of stardom in front of the young XOMG Pop members, only to berate.
Dangle the carrot of sign $1 billion contracts because you really want to be a volunteer. Sign here on the dotted line because we really need your passport that we're going to start calling a Valdoc. So in what world does that make a shred of literal sense? Contractual agreements. Why are all these people getting minors ensnared in contractual agreements?
Them and encourage them to cry on camera. Their mom and kids would come home and have candy basket and a Nintendo Switch in their hotel room after being messed with all day. A source close to the
berate them and encourage them to cry on camera. Well, imagine we were berated and we were encouraged to suck it all up and confront it. To, TR0 bull bait. Just disassociate on command. Immediately, when we were being berated, when we were being accosted, when we were being essayed. The children are the ones that get told they have a problem if they show a shred of reaction. They flunked the L1 hover drill. So let that really sink in. The child flunked a drill because he had a reaction, adverse reaction to unthinkable boundaries being crossed. So imagine that. That is the culture where an industrial size scale of kids get literally dumped by parents that are also chasing fame. Oh yeah, I'm going to become real famous here. I'm going to be put on the Source magazine that goes all around the world. I'll become world famous because I'm on a magazine here that is circulated all around the Scientology hotels. I cannot wait to be famous is what these people are literally paying for.
Production told Rolling Stone. The highs were high and the lows were low. A representative for the production company behind Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution disputes this, saying the children were not given gifts, nor were they encouraged to cry. I will say, of course, a reminder that everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged based on the testimony given by Leah and her mum and the article in Rolling Stone. But from my understanding, this was a lot of the criticism that was given to Dance Moms, the show that Jojo Siwa was on as a child.
It should be called Child Trafficking Moms, you guys. It shouldn't be called Dance Moms. You're not a dance mom when you're living precariously through your daughter. Let's start by that fact. So all the moms that really go, oh, I really wanted to what? Shout out to Carol Masterson, another one of these momagers. Look how great that turned out for Danny Masterson. Look what a great, outstanding citizen that child trafficking actor Scientology victim became. Because that's really working out amazing, right? For just expose all kids to, you know, all of these no boundary common sense to be found anywhere. So all of the adults can live out their fantasies for themselves. At the expense, someone's footing the bill, and it's a child. Don't forget. Don't forget who is footing that bill. It's not the parent. Wrong answer. All these years, the corporate media has been covering for child trafficking parents. There is no child trafficking if there is no parent. Who brings the kids to the traffickers? Who signs the contracts for their kids? The Scientology parents.
It was a very cutthroat environment where girls were pitted against each other. They were overworked and encouraged to cry and be emotional. And
it was a cutthroat environment. Imagine that the Scientology parents that sign off their kids to go into the Sea Org are perfectly aware of the type of cutthroat AF environment that people that end up in the Sea Org are all about. So before you want to give these Scientology parents the full benefit of the doubt, because nobody had a clue. Oh no, nobody had a clue. That was the problem. Wrong answer. They all had a clue. They all knew. They all participated. They all brought their kids. They all put the children in harm's way. And no one's exempted. No one rose a shred of red flag. No, every single thing that we have spoken about until today in this year 2024 is still being done to children as we speak. There is no guardrails. There is no safeguards. There is no toning down the rhetoric of a convicted felon. There is none of that happening. So imagine that all of this blabbing, and all for what? For all to just exist willy-nilly, because you know what? Scientology parents or Jojo Siwa's mother or whoever wants to exploit a child here in the United States, they're going to find a great state if they move to the state of California. They're going to find a great state if they go to the state of Florida. They're going to have a wonderful time calling it all manner of things. But child trafficking won't be called out. No. It's Scientology. It's not child trafficking. It's Scientology. Yeah, no. That's what it's called. It's Scientology. You know, it's Nickelodeon. You know, it wasn't child trafficking. It was Nickelodeon. It was Dan Schneider. Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider. That's what it's called. All of these business models linking with exploitation and predators that are grifting, at the end of the day, grifting, making money out of kids. What type of adult really is that desperate to put all their weight on a child and see if they don't break?
pick on each other, which is very damaging to a young mind. I mean, that would be very damaging to an adult even, but to a young child.
See, guys, I mean, it's very damaging to a young mind. Imagine no Scientology parent advocates for children. Imagine all they care about is like, well, I had it kind of rough over there. And, you know, I did lose $1 million that I did give to a child trafficking operation, but you're the victim? Explain how that works. You gave them $1 million, but you're the victim because you're out of $1 million? How did your $1 million endorse the trafficking that was happening inside of the hotel? Because start making that link, perhaps. All the Scientology parents that want to make themselves the victim. Oh my God, I really had a hard time in there. Well, you know what? You didn't have that big of a hard time. Breaking news to you. You full-grown adult. It sucked to be you? Yes, no one's questioning that. It sucks to be literally you. That did get ensnared, that did bought the pitch. All the fake red flags that were right there in front of you that just went like, let's just go past it because who cares? Nobody will care. I can do whatever. But yes, irreparable harm is done to the developmental stages of all kids who are currently ensnared. That's why it matters. Doesn't matter that it happened to us when it did. It happens that it's still happening right now as we speak without a shred of guardrails, with nothing being different, with nothing being better, with no one giving a single F still.
It would be even worse. And you would think that by now, Jojo Siwa would know better. I mean, she's an adult at this point and she hasn't been on Dance Moms in years.
Right, guys. But it's like you would think that she would have knowledge of this. She's been groomed. This has been normalized. This is called modeling the behavior. So yes, kids that grow up in these schemes, Ponzi schemes, racketeering, child exploitation, pyramid schemes, yes, they become enablers. Yes, they become predators. Yes, it's not a good idea. So maybe it can get stopped. Maybe it's not just what people are literally all about. Maybe the laws actually can be applied for once in their literal life. So it's not just a platitude on a piece of paper that no one is around to enforce.
But maybe somewhere in her brain, she thinks, well, I'm really, really rich now. And I'm clearly very successful. So I guess overworking children and pitting them against each other and being horrible to them will help them to be rich and successful. It's not a good train of thought.
It's not a good train of thought whatsoever, but yet, yes, very rich and very successful is what the OT power that these people are after. Influence. Let me make me an influencer. Let me get a lot of people following me. I mean, you guys, what is a cult if not a bunch of followers? You have a bunch of followers, you have a cult. What are you doing with that cult? How are you shaping the perception? How are you instigating a culture inside that cult? Because, I mean, again, it's like, how many more words can we have to come up with to always end up here at the exact same literal crossroad?
I'm just assuming that's where she's going with it. There were tensions within the cast and between the Siwas and some of the cast members almost immediately. Some of this, two sources close to the production say, was due to the inherent premise of the show, which involved children being pitted against each other in a competitive setting. Two of the contestants...
I mean, we were pitted against each other inside of those hotels, you guys. You better finish this course or you're very slow, you're very fast, you're good, you're upstat, you suck, you're disgusting, you're degraded, you can't apply the technology, you're just useless, you're just full of misunderstoods. So everything was pitting everyone against each other. Everybody wanted to, see who did it best. And, oh, look at me, I did it so wonderful. And look at that other person, he's so stupid and so slow and so gross and so out of ethics and blah, 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 all the labels that you can possibly think of.
Were frequently compared to each other by Jesselyn because they both had blonde hair, prompting one of them to dye their hair mid-season. Two sources close to the production allege that in a deleted elimination sequence, the girls who were cut from the show would be asked by producers to look into the mirror, watching themselves become visibly upset during their exit interviews. It's also said in this article and in the Instagram Live that they weren't aware that this was going to be a more of a competition sort of thing. they were signing up just to be in a girl group. They were expecting just to perform, not to be competing against each other.
When we signed these contracts, we thought that these girls were going to be recording artists, that they were going to be musicians, that they would be recording music, touring, making music videos. We, under no circumstances, signed contracts to be constant TikTok, making TikTok slime or YouTube slime videos, 1,000 TikTok videos. We didn't.
I mean, again, you guys, this is the type of parent that is putting their kid there. We didn't. First of all, your daughter is a minor woman, so she didn't do anything. Don't we the situation. It's you. It's you who is ensnaring your daughter. It's you who's putting her there. Stop trying to pitch yourself as the very altruistic mother that was doing this for the benefit of your child. That's what we always get from the Scientology parents too. Oh yeah, we did this for your benefit. Shouldn't you be so lucky you got the class 4 when you were 12? Shouldn't you be so like singing praises that you did so many audits? By the time you were, 15, you were already clear. You had done all your expanded grades. You had done NED. You had done FPRD. You had done sec checks. You had done all this bullshit. It's the parent. But is this woman calling herself out? No, she's not calling herself out. She's the victim. She's making herself the victim. Breaking news to you, woman. You are not the victim. You are the enabler of what your daughter is ensnared in. It's due to your stupidity and to your lack of critical thinking skills and to, your ability to exploit your daughter in plain broad daylight. And nobody gives an F because you know what? It's been normalized to do this. It's a very good, high-functioning business model for women that look like this, that have no shame, literally no shame.
Sign up to be social media people. We signed up for them to be in a band, in a group. And
like, there's nothing wrong with also doing social media.
No,
like,
Leah loves TikTok.
I love doing influencing and all that stuff, but like, we weren't doing anything else but that.
I mean, you guys, again, it's like, we like influencing. You see how sick, how disgusting these literal social platforms, as if the trafficking isn't happening via platform. Whether it's TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whether it's whatever. These are what these girls of her age are thinking about. I love influencing. Who wants to be an influencer? And again, it's because there's this obsession with becoming a cult figure. What's different about L. Ron Hubbard? What was L. Ron Hubbard modeling his whole entire BS on? The premise that what? He wanted a lot of what? Followers. So he could do what? Influence them. So yeah, we didn't sign up to do social media, but you know what? That's what the mom says. The idiot. We didn't sign up to do social media. I mean, you're being videoed with a phone, woman. What in the hell are you talking about? We signed up to be part of a group. I mean, what type of due diligence don't you understand? Like bare minimum due diligence is what it's called, you guys. But again, this is giving very much Scientology mom vibes. Scientology moms wanted it about themselves. What am I getting out of this transaction? How am I going to be talked about inside of the hotels by my buddies after they find out that, yes, I have 3 daughters in here that I donated? So bow down to me because you know what? Those are my 3 daughters saving a world, just like this woman.
At the time.
Producers encourage drama and tension between castmates, according to those who spoke with Rolling Stone. Though manipulating reality show contestants for the sake of maximizing drama is fairly standard reality television procedure, the stakes were heightened by the fact that the contestants in question were children, including one who was only 8 years old at the time. Can you imagine doing this to an 8-year-old? Like, it's
Yeah. Can you imagine doing this to an 8-year-old? But guess what? Can you imagine 8-year-olds are being put in the purification rundown? Can you imagine that? Yes, it doesn't matter. They're 8. Oh, well, they look real adult to me. So expose them. They qualify. As long as they, go with the flow, we're going to, go with the exploitation flow.
absolutely horrific. 8-year-olds don't even know like what's going on. They can't read a clock, I think. This would mess with their brains for life. Just
Well, I guess that explains us, you guys. We're messed in the brain for life. We don't want what's been done to us to be doing to other kids as we speak. It's being done with full impunity. It's being done with full knowledge of what in the hell they're doing. They don't have a shred of plausible deniability. They cannot say that they thought they were helping saving a world by literally torturing a child and exploiting it. It doesn't work that way. You don't save a world by torturing kids at an industrial size scale. So why is literal L. Ron Hubbard being pitched as an American-bred god? Why is that happening still today? Everyone is going with that fake AF pitch. It couldn't be more stupid. It couldn't be more dumb. It couldn't be more idiotic. But yet apparently it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of legal circles. Imagine that.
this one was also allegedly verbally abusive during rehearsals, the Sandersons and 2 source close to the production allege, with Jesselyn berating a contestant with hypertonia, a disorder that causes low muscle tone, by mocking her for being unable to move her arms and legs. She also allegedly made fun of her speech, at one point mimicking her. If this is true, that's absolutely disgusting, and it kind of makes me a little bit more, how do I put this? In my video talking about Jojo Siwa's relation to Colleen Ballinger and Rachel Ballinger and the ways that she was mistreated growing up, I asked, where was her parents? Where were her parents? Why did nobody step in?
Where were the parents, you guys? That should be really the question. Where are the parents? This problem doesn't exist without parents. There's no children if you don't have parents. There's no underage kids if there are no parents involved, ensnared, looking to benefit from the association to that club, whether it's Nickelodeon, whether it's Jojo Siwa, whether it's Scientology, whatever in the hell it is. Exploiting kids, putting them in harm's way while everyone plays dumb. Imagine all of this. Imagine it's all it takes for all of these Scientology parents, for all of Jojo Siwa's whatever groupies, sycophants, following a cult leader, because really that's working out so amazing for everyone that follows one, right? People who followed who else? P. Diddy, Keith Raniere, Jeffrey Epstein.
Why was all of this allowed to happen? And if her mother is behaving like this, I can kind of start to understand why she never stepped in to stop adults being inappropriate with Jojo. Things got significantly worse once production for the show ended in summer of 2021, and the winners, including Leah, transitioned to being a full-time music act, according to multiple sources. The Sandersons allege, and another source close to the situation confirms, they largely had to pay out of pocket for food and transportation, often without being reimbursed, and were not paid for individual music video, photo, or social media content shoots.
I mean, again, you guys, these are moms that are running the social media accounts. YouTube is paying them. TikTok is paying them. So let that sink in. So when everyone goes, oh, well, but YouTube is just the one that goes and puts, who is paying them? Who has no oversight over these accounts? But just transfers a check because you know what? As long as you keep eyeballs glued on our app, that's all that Google gives a literal F about. As long as you speak to, subjects such as this, oh, you best believe we've been completely, you know how it is. You guys know how it is.
And in the Instagram live, Leah and her mum have stated that they were not told that they were going to have to pay out of pocket for these things. And generally, if you're hired by this kind of group, especially a group making this much money, it would be expected for them to pay your travel expenses and things related to you working. And they also said that they did not sign in their contract anything about making social media content. The girls were signed as recording artists. There was nothing in it about making social media content, but this was expected and it was included in their work hours. And you can say, oh, it's just making TikToks. It's not that big of a deal. But when it's your job, it takes up a lot of time, especially when there's so much pressure from the higher ups for you to do well. And when it's being pitted against the girls whose video can go most viral. You have to understand the atmosphere, Sanderson says. You're not allowed to say anything. You can't question anything. You're living in fear that you're going to cost your child their opportunity, that they'll get fired, or that we're going to have to get a lawyer. And none of us had any money.
Again, you guys, you have to understand the atmosphere. What type of atmosphere are we talking about? Are we talking about the Fort Harrison Hotel, or are we talking about Jojo Siwa? You're not allowed to say anything. You cannot question anything. You're living in fear that you're going to cost your child their opportunity, which again, that's a BS pitch from a parent that's trafficking their kid. Oh yeah, I was real scared that you were going to miss an opportunity. What type of opportunity were you really giving that kid? The opportunity to not have a childhood? You know what? Miss us with your BS opportunity. Scientology parents and Jojo Siwa parents and Nickelodeon parents and all these other parents that are so pressed to go, oh, but this is just such a great opportunity for you. I do it all for you. So don't have a childhood because that has really worked great for us that didn't have a childhood. Well, you know what? We didn't have a childhood and we are effed up. So maybe give these kids a childhood. Maybe just don't put all of this bullshit on them because maybe they'll have a better time. Maybe when they're in their 40s, they're not going to be completely effed up having to literally go and unearth all that exploitation that they had no shred of a literal clue what in the hell was going on when they were gullible and naive and easily influenceable. That's why kids need advocates, you guys. That's why children inside of Scientology hotels need advocates. They have the worst of the worst advocates. Imagine your father and your mother are your worst advocate. Imagine your father and your mother are the ones that are putting you in harm's way. Imagine that they do so with full impunity, do so with full knowledge, do so with recording it, transcribing it, reading it on a book. Like, where is the plausible deniability these parents have to not be exploiting their kids just because they spin? Oh, I was afraid it was going to cost my child their opportunity. I was afraid you would never go clear. Oh my God, I did this all for you because you know what if you didn't go clear? So it's always the same BS. It's always the same BS with these child exploiters.
Mothers were so short on funds, Angie alleges, that at one point she and Bella's mother started working directly for Jesselyn herself, organizing Jojo's closet and scrubbing toilets in her home for $20 an hour.
Oh, look, more scrubbing toilets. Look at these literal people, you guys. It's almost like they go, oh, look, Scientology says they put people to, scrub toilets with toothbrushes. We should try it too. Why not? Why not? In what world are we seeing here scrubbing toilets? Because I guess that is the best. How many of our mothers were scrubbing toilets for Scientology? We know that Katrina's mom literally chosen to do that job for Debbie Cook inside of those hotels. So just imagine that. So we have Every receipt checking up. What is the business model called? Child exploitation. Stop putting bows on it. Stop wrapping it in BS. Start calling it what it is and stop playing dumb to the benefit of nobody but the predators.
According to PayPal receipts and a schedule provided to Rolling Stone. That is absolutely vile. So you can see that you're not paying these people enough to live, that you're not helping to fund travel expenses and things related to work, and then you're expecting the mothers of those contestants to scrub your toilets. How absolutely vile is that? That makes me so angry.
Again, you guys, but what do you think our parents were to these people? They were just as pathetic as what you just literally called out right here. How could you literally, what? Like, you're paying all your money that you have, and then you give them your child, and then you, like, there's no boundaries. There's no boundaries. And these women, yeah, it sucks to be them, but who's accepting the job? Who's not doing the due diligence? Who's a grown, consenting adult here? Who has the power to discern between BS and non-BS? Who? Because if the mothers are bringing their children, if the mothers are taking the job of cleaning a toilet because they hope that maybe my child will make a lot of money and then I'll be driving a Range Rover like Jojo Siwa's mom, and isn't my life going to be wonderful when I'm inside a Range Rover? Who paid for that Range Rover? The child. Why is the child being expected to be a money mule? Why can these adults be doing stuff with other consenting adults? Why do they have to bring kids into the equation?
Like, so hideously angry. I mean, how would you then go? Like, you have these people scrubbing your toilet, organizing your closet, and then the next day you're going to be watching them while you have rehearsals with their children, and you're telling them how they need to tell their children to do better, and then you're berating them and berating their children. How are you going to do that? How is any of that okay? Additionally, rehearsals would last hours, with little time available for school, the Sandersons and a source close to the group allege. According to a calendar shared with Rolling Stone, shoots for music videos like Disco Believer could extend up to 9 hours, with rehearsal call times sometimes being sent to the girls well after midnight the night before. We would end up working a 9-hour day with no school, says Leah.
Oh, look, no school. Another check mark, you guys. Another similarity between Jojo Siwa operation ship, alleged operation ship, and Scientology. The one we lived. So ours is not alleged. At least mine is not. So yeah, no school and 9-hour days and calling you up at midnight. And who else was doing that? Scientology. Scientology.
Single day put us so far behind. Calendars provided to Rolling Stone, as well as a source close to the situation, confirmed that such a schedule was not unusual. According to California labor law, 9 hours is the maximum amount of time 9 to 16-year-olds in the entertainment industry can spend on a work site while school is in session. Something that was mentioned in the live as well was that the girls were expected to rehearse for hours and hours on end, giving it everything, dancing nonstop. It's very grueling, physical work, in full sweatshirts with the heat cranked up, despite any health issues they may have had or any issues this could have caused.
Okay, so we were not allowed to wear like tank tops. Our stomachs couldn't show at all. But every rehearsal, we had to wear a sweatshirt and sweatpants. And Jojo would crank the heat up all the way. And basically, I guess this is just how she was raised to do it. But like, we literally kids, and like with my disability, like I take a lot of medicine. And so being like in an overheating environment, like obviously that's not good for me. And so we had to wear sweatshirts and sweatpants, multiple layers, with the heat all the way up, dancing full out. We literally just
And
go
singing.
over and over and singing over and over and over. And then like to the point where we'd be almost passing out. Like we literally couldn't like.
Why is her mother laughing? What's so funny to her? Like, this is child torture. I dance, I wear sweaters, but because my gym is freezing, not because I want to pass out. Like, again, it's like this amount of like boundary blurring, like just cruelty. It's just cruelty. And the mom knew, and she's just there right next to her daughter, laughing it away.
We would literally have to run outside to like breathe because it got so hot.
During rehearsals for the group, Leah alleges Jojo would often encourage the girls to compare themselves to each other, breeding an atmosphere of constant contention and presenting a stark contrast to her sunny public persona. We're supposed to be a group and supposed to be unified, says Leah. It was like the show all over again. During one performance at the Mall of America in Minnesota, she alleges Jojo was shouting at them in their headsets, screaming, "You're sucking, bring it up, the energy is low, you look sloppy, this isn't good enough."
So look at that, you guys. Sloppy. Debbie Cook and Jojo Siwa have a word they use in common. Sloppy. Your CSW was written very sloppy, is what they would tell us inside of the hotel. So isn't that great that they all nice words that they choose? Oh, you need to stop looking so sloppy. Become professional. Get your ethics in. Become professional. Stop being sloppy. Like, why are you so sloppy? You're such a DB and a total sloppy out ethics, non-producer stat crasher. That's all you are. You're just freeloading and, wanting everyone to, help you so you can be on your criminal exchange. That's all you are, a criminal. Your exchange condition 0. You don't exchange correctly. You're just
We had that.
pest. I mean, that's the vibe inside of those hotels, you guys. Yes, they promised you religion, but they're talking to you like that. So why are children being spoken to like that when they're supposed to be in a religious environment, supposed to be volunteers?
Thousands of people watching this, and then we have somebody in our ear screaming at us telling us we suck.
So we start with
And again, to putting that stuff on our ears, for those of us who also were being made to be the auditors and interrogators, 15-year-old that I was there, ask him for another withhold. Check if he's done something more disgusting or perverted on the second dynamic. And today I'm just not in the mood of bringing up the questions, you guys. But you know how far and extreme these questions were being given to us through a headset. What type of religious activity happens through a headset being told if... Ask him if he's ever put a banana up his, you know exactly what in the hell I mean. Why were children asking adults if they've ever put a banana? Where in the hell you know exactly what I just said.
a sound check. We always would do sound checks, and also
So yeah, Scientology, worst, way worse than any of this. I mean, I'm sure that Jojo could be like, yeah, well, I got real carried away. I told them they all sucked. I don't care. Well, fine. Scientology did that and had a headset to tell children to ask adults if they've ever put bananas up your you-know-what. So why are children being made to ask those type of questions? And the guys that they're following a murder routine is what they were. Oh, yeah, here's a bulletin. Here, L. Ron Hubbard said that would be a great idea to do. So all adults just sign off all critical thinking skills to L. Ron Hubbard and commit crimes. And then they go point the finger everywhere else like this woman here.
these would go literally crazy. We would always be getting yelled at the sound checks because even
That started on Jojo's.
that started on Jojo's tour. I was literally so scared to ever go do a sound check. Like, it was literally
miserable.
my biggest fear. It was so miserable. And then, like, you have a bunch of people watching you at the same time.
You're getting screamed at.
So we're at
You're allowing her to be screamed at. You're the mother. Like, where were you?
Mall of America, and it's actually after hours. The mall had just closed, but there was probably, how many people do you think were
Gosh,
watching?
100?
There was more than 100. Like,
You think?
yeah, almost 300 people watching us.
I don't think it was that many.
No, the floors were filled, girl.
There was a lot of people still left in the mall.
There was a lot of people because obviously we're on the big stage in our bright costumes. Yes, we had to do sound check in our costumes and full makeup, full hair, all of that.
Dress
At the
rehearsal.
same time, yeah, it's like dress rehearsal. I was so sick. Like, I could barely walk. Everybody knew this. One of the other girls was also having some medical issues at the same time.
Dallas, you can say.
Okay,
her name.
Dallas. And so we were doing our sound check, and we were getting absolutely screamed at. And mind you, there's like how many people watching, and we come off of the stage. She keeps stopping the music. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally about to.
Again, you guys, like, for the mom to just be laughing it off, and it's just so inappropriate. It's so weird. So weird. She's so weird, this woman.
To go off the stage and throw up, and then like
No, she did.
I had to run to the bathroom, and it was so bad. And yes, I will get to that, guys, in a second about the headsets. But we get off stage, and she goes, "You say this part because I don't want to say
What?
Imply a bad word, so you say it."
I don't know what you.
When we got off stage, what Jess said to us.
I don't remember.
Yes, you do. About you guys.
Oh, she said you guys effing suck?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said they effing sucked. And then they.
Yeah. So another similarity, using the F word to, really drive their point across. You guys, inside of those hotels, the F word was their favorite go-to. Get your effing ethics in. Stop effing backflashing. Everything, they sprinkled the F word on it. They would use those words to have a higher impingement, is how it was pitched. Oh yeah, we're just trying to impinge on you. We're going to degrade you. We're going to disgustingly, verbally abuse you. And you just have to take it. And don't react also, by the way. Don't cry. Don't make a sound after we're done abusing you.
She said, you guys owe me $500,000.
No, 200,000.
Oh.
No, 200,000.
$200,000, something along those lines, because she thought that we didn't do good in our rehearsal, and so she was degrading us, saying, you owe me this money for this performance. And like, obviously we didn't, but like,
I mean, again, you guys, you owe me $200,000. Oh, where else do we have bills of up to $200,000 being handed over to underage kids? Bingo, you guys, Scientology. Scientology is also in the business of invoicing minors for whatever courses, whatever audits, whatever they signed on an invoice. And remember, these invoices could run you up quite a bit. So it's not that money's not involved. It's not that the exact same business model of you owe us hundreds of thousands of dollars and you get told that as a child and you really do believe it or not. We did believe it. We believed the pitch. We thought, oh my God, this is very serious. Scientology, we were always told Scientology has the best attorneys, you guys. Don't F us over. Our attorneys will come after you. You don't want to mess with our attorneys.
And then, the little girl that we mentioned earlier that was having issues with breathing, she'd been to the doctor. She'd had breathing treatments. She was really struggling to breathe. The Minnesota air is hard, I guess, if you have like lung issues. It was so cold. And she'd been to the doctor already. And they were threatening to kick her out of the performance. She was screaming and crying into her mic. People were all
so
around.
bad. There were so many people screaming, crying, and they're just like, we're not going to do it with her.
Yeah. All kids were screaming, crying. And yes, it included young kids doing the screaming at adults. If they got into executive positions, if they became messengers, they were allowed to scream, humiliate, and treat an adult in whatever way they wanted. When you were senior to that adult, you could do whatever in the hell. It didn't matter. They couldn't complain on you. So, and this question about impingement that came up here, impingement is harmful to any part of the body, and they're using this term as something that they're intentionally doing to the mind. Yeah, they're using impingement to say that, you know, they're giving you a severe reality adjustment. They really want you to get their point. So it's always with this like extra threat of coercion. It's really what it boils down to, actually. Literally, when you think about it.
And we were like, mind you, all of us.
The moms are like, please, Jess, please talk to Jojo, because Jojo was the one not wanting to let her do
Jojo
it.
was the one that was trying to just kick her out of the whole group.
In late 2022, Leah experienced a slew of health problems connected to her disability, including blood leaking out of her belly button. That December, she flew back home to Texas to undergo surgery on her spine. The Siwas and other XOMG Pop moms were supportive, sending Angie and Leah flowers and a get well card. But even though doctors typically instruct children to avoid physical activity for 4 to 6 weeks after the surgery, and Angie and Leah's own doctor had only cleared her for light activity, Leah was told by Jessalyn to head back to rehearsal 3.5 weeks later, the Sandersons allege, in order to practice for the Disco Believer video shoot. Just absolutely, just not okay. You can't push it back for a few weeks. You can't just wait just a few weeks. It just doesn't surprise me at this point. I mean, people who get this successful and powerful and rich did so by being cutthroat and did so by expecting others to match up to their grueling standards. It's just horrific. In fact, the entire thing is horrific, and I do see in some twisted way, probably Jojo thinks, well, this is how I did it, and look where I am now. But that is no excuse. You should absolutely know better. You should not be putting children through this, no matter what you went through as a child, no matter the upbringing that you had, and no matter how successful you are now. You are
See, you guys, you shouldn't be putting children through this, even if you went through it as a child. So all these people that want to go, oh, but you know, my parents did it to me. Well, are you doing it to other children today? Are you renouncing it? Or are you just waiting for something to stop? Because you know what? If I just sit here on the sidelines playing dumb, something really is going to stop. And that is the problem that you have in this Scientology problem. Scientology parents are not in any way, shape, or form remorseful about what they did inside of that hotel. They can only talk about them being victims. They have a huge victim complex all about it. I'm the victim. I was victimized. I was a full-grown consenting adult that signed all contracts, that had legal discernment to figure it out, but somehow they're the victims in the aftermath of everything. In the last 74 years, only adults are victims, according to the mainstream corporate pathetic grifting media. Oh yeah, we're all just lots of victimhoods to cover here. Let's write more stories of a lot of victims that once upon a time were, you know, beaten by a dwarf. Men that were 4 times his size is what the truth rundown was all based on. Imagine that.
mistreating children, allegedly. You're overworking and underpaying them and putting their mental and physical health at risk. And Jessalyn Siwa, being a grown woman who has been a grown woman for many years and has raised a child of her own, should absolutely know so much better than this. There was a statement made by Jessalyn's counsel, Brian Friedman. These allegations are 100% provably false, and this story is created to generate clicks at the expense of truth. Had actual investigative reporting been done, the voluminous and irrefutable evidence would tell you all you need to know. That a disgruntled manager's own abusive behavior caused for her daughter to be asked not to return to the group. Her relentless texts begging for forgiveness and for her daughter to be reinstated completely discredit her and these ridiculous allegations. Jess Siwa was protecting the staff, the other girls, and their families, which she will continue to do vociferously. Vociferously.
Vociferously.
Vociferously in a loud and forceful manner. Okay, well, there's your word for the day. You're
Vociferously. Even I know that word, you guys. Vociferously.
welcome.
Vociferously.
Vociferously. There you go. They are denying it, but it does.
They are denying it, and they're giving us yet another link to Scientology attorney comments. All just these blanket, literal statements that apparently typing something on a piece of paper is all it takes. You guys, I mean, literally.
Say that in the article they looked through contracts, messages, things like that, emails, and different forms of communication. So I don't know. I'm on the side to think that this could potentially be true, especially like what I said, Jojo's upbringing and the way that Jess allowed it to happen. Thank you so much for watching today's video.
Yeah, so shout out to these creator, you guys. Vangelina Skov, I thought she did a good job reacting and also advocating for the lack of actual guardrails in place for the trafficking, the exploitation, the aggravated child abuse. Things that are already in the literal law books, you guys. Everybody keeps pretending that we have to come up with better laws. And oh yeah, we really have to renew the laws. You know what? You don't have to renew jack shit. You have to enforce the laws that already exist. You have to literally be willing to take on these issues of kids being exploited. And yes, it will require grown adults to give an F. Because you know what? The grown adults that they surround themselves with, lucky for those adults, don't give an F about kids. So they get away with it. And they get away with it. And they get away with it. And then, you know, they all play dumb. They all pretend it's not a big problem. They all pretend it was a one-off. They all pretend all these things that are not based in reality. They're rooted in delusion. Superfluous delusion of grandeur, which is the literal pitch of L. Ron Hubbard. And it's the pitch that apparently Jojo's going with as well, as she has proven to be ensnared in this very real controversy that is giving exploitation, that is giving, why are minors being made to sign contracts? Why are they being berated? Why is the F word being thrown around? Why are parents so willing to expose their kids to harm's way? So there's plenty of actual things that need to be confronted as a result of all of these people that are being enabled to get away with it because money is being literally dished out. In this case, by YouTube and TikTok. Because again, you guys, like, this is not even, we're not talking the child stars. This is another subculture. These are the social media stars that are, Jojo Siwa's mom is not with Paramount. Jojo Siwa's mom is not with Nickelodeon. So what does that mean? Less oversight. What does that mean? Easier to traffic the minor. Easier to violate the law, and no one is going to give a literal shred of an F. Because as long as it's not a roach-infested motel that they pitch you ad nauseum, that's all that ever happens for child trafficking victims. That's all it takes to traffic a child, find a roach-infested motel, and then it's called child trafficking. So all of these platitudes need to start getting exposed, and all of these behaviors and all of these parents who are, again, for the 10th billionth time, is the parents that put you in harm's way. And it starts with your very own. Once your own parents are willing to put you in harm's way, no child has a shred of advocate that's worth anything. So let's continue analyzing all of these things. I thank you guys all for watching and being here and advocating with us today. And I will see you all extremely soon. Bye-bye.